So I want to get into it a little bit about this game. We're about to get into because we didn't mention that we're going to be seeing FemmeFerocity take on Macrotrash, and I know a little bit about FemmeFerocity. I don't know if you've heard about them. This is a team that's been established. It's all females, I believe. All their management and all the sort of people around the team too, or it's like all female involvement and captained by Steph of, you know, we all know Steph.
Steph of Steph fame.
Steph of Steph fame, of Heroes fame, of if you're thinking it's the Steph you're thinking of, it is. So, and we have some really strong players. We got Lakifu from Here's the Dorm. We got like a lot of strong players coming out on this team. I really hope that they're going to be able to bring it to Macrotrash right now. And I believe we have Fem on the left hand side.
The blue, yeah.
Yeah, on the left. And now we have
Macrotrash on the right. And we're going to be on Battlefield of Eternity. So we do get onto that map that you were mentioning at the very start of the night. So we get to see something
happen.
Yeah, and one of the things that I guess ANZ does like about this map is that you get to punch on really quick and really fast, and you just constantly just fighting, and you can just punch on for days. And that's one reason why we like it, but it's also it can get a little bit tilting when in ANZ things just don't go south and everyone just starts blaming each other. It's like, well,
I love this map, but it's so difficult. And I just think of something that happened to me recently, which I was playing Maev on this map. Someone was chasing me, and I was at about 10 health, and I tethered him into the boss stun. He got boss stun, then chain locked by my team and just erased. Yeah. And it was like, dude, that feels bad. You should have killed me right there. So, of course, we see the Maev ban coming out immediately. Maev, Garrosh. There's a lot of team fighting here, but a lot of PvE is the focus as well.
Yeah, and one thing to follow up on that lovely anecdote of surviving, well, the jaws of death, is trying to fight in and around those immortals can really be a bit of a hassle for some of these compositions. And Hanzo, I actually quite like it on this map, especially because of how much damage he has in the PvE sense with those serrated arrows. He can just demolish a boss so very quickly, and also the Shaman camp and the Khazra camps is. You have a surprising amount of PvE in this map that the Hanzo does get a decent amount of value.
Yeah, I think Hanzo's still terrifying on this map. I frequently ban him myself on this map. The scatter arrow just gets so much value. You can poke from a safe distance, and Li Ming is a hero that functions similarly, but I would say doesn't quite do it as well as Hanzo.
Yeah. Li Ming is like the original version of the style that the Hanzo has right now, is where you just get so much spells from so far away that it's very hard for your opponent to like properly defend their own immortal. If you can just push them into a situation where they have to defend, you can still just throw spells over the walls, and eventually you're going to whittle either them down or the immortal down, and you're just going to get the objective regardless. Li Ming's doesn't really take off like to the power that we're usually expected from her until later on in the game. Once she gets like the mirror ball, starts getting a lot of those arcane missiles flying through. But the Hanzo does it much quicker and just a little bit, quite a bit better, to be honest, with those serrated arrows.
Wow, so double Shimada, Deckard Cain coming out here from the Fem girls. Let's see. Li Ming, though, what was I going to say? I completely lost my train of thought. That's all right. So we have a really early Johanna prioritization, though. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, she is very strong and does do rather well into a lot of compositions. It's usually only like those very spell-heavy ones. Like, if you go up against a Jaina, you're not going to have a very fun time because she'll just consistently slow you. It's the amount of CC that is drawn out that you can't really just iron skin your way through. That can be a bit of a problem for her, but with what FemmeFerocity had picked up so far, you're not necessarily too worried about that. You can just push your way through a lot of what they bring to the table. So I like the Johanna. As you mentioned, it is a little bit weird to have it so high up in the draft, But she is a very solid pick.
Yeah, and I think that I'm not sure if FemmeFerocity choreographed too much of what they're looking for in the 2-3 pick there, because Deckard is generally thought of as an aggressive healer only because of his scroll of stealing, and they do have the Anubarak ban coming out from the side of Macro Trash, so a little bit of a read on that, or maybe it's the FemmeFerocity girls trying to throw them off their game a little bit. But Stukov, Alarak, huge displacement, huge silence potential. So that's kind of crazy. Tons of burst for Li Ming. Displacement is good, just like we talked about into the Immortals. The Stukov for zoning, the Johanna. This comp is really coming together for Macro Trash, and I'm a little bit terrified.
Yeah, it does control space very well, and if you're trying to make your way in and around those areas of those Immortals, all of a sudden you're getting telekinesis into Discord Strike, you're just landing on a Johanna and also a lurking arm, and all of a sudden a Hanzo and a Genji who kind of need their abilities to be able to get to safety, they just stuck in all this silence and they just get demolished. So they have to be very careful with their positioning. They do have tools to deal with a lot of these heroes from long range. I mean, the Genji, he has to get in their face to do it, but when you have a Tyrael at your back and potentially a Sanctification later on in the game, that does give a good opportunity for that Genji to have a little bit more freedom in this game. But the Valera, yet again, from Macro Trash.
Back. Silence Town,
USA. There are 3 silences in this team. They're just like, you just be quiet.
Yeah.
You're lucky this is like the whole point of their gameplay is just shh.
and I think that's going to work effectively into Genji, and that works effectively into Sonya as well. And Tyrael, not a crowd control focused tank, a tank that's focused on being in the front line, being mobile, and being able to support his team. If he's silenced, he falls very quickly. So basically, I feel like if Tyrael can get off his protections and really zone, could be an extremely strong pick, but if he just gets bursted, his team is going to be just left to the dogs. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I do like that composition, though. The Tyrael Sonya to finish it up, it does have a lot of very forward-moving with this composition. We were talking about it earlier, where the Deckard wants to be in a team that's moving forward, so you can just stand behind them and then just throw all these potions in their face and just allow them to just get full value out of that. The Valera is probably going to throw a bit of a spanner into those plans. The Deckard needs to be very careful with where he's positioning, not only because of the Alarak is going to try and get onto him, but that Valera as well. And to be honest, all those DPS members on the side of FemmeFerocity, they need to be careful where they're standing because they can die incredibly quickly.
Not a game I would want to be playing not a team I would want to be playing into against. So the FemmeFerocity females have quite a bit cut out for them on this game against Macro Trash, especially after what we just saw coming out of Hedgie on Valera. So let's get right into it. So this is going to be game 1 on Battlefield Tourney, our only game. And on the left side, we have FemmeFerocity. We got Steph playing Genji, Adibu on Tyrael, Malrius playing the Hanzo, Peridexis on Sonya, and Lakifu on Deckard Cain.
And on the red side, we have Macro Trash. We have Stu Manchu on the Johanna, Spurbek is on the Stukov, Frank Jukes is on Li Ming, Martos on Alarak, and again, Hedgie, the second time today, is going to be on the Valera.
I'm not going to try to make a bad hedge pun somehow out of this Valera. I'm not going to do it.
Just hedge your bets.
Yeah, they're hedging their bets on this Valera pick, but look at just patiently waiting, the silent assassin sitting on his own side. So things like that always feel super pro when they work, but then when you're just sitting waiting and nothing's happening,
you get literally hit by a sonic arrow. You're just like, well, I guess I'm found out.
Yeah, I knew that you knew I was here. So just a little bit of back and forth. Genji rotating up on Alarak though. Let's keep an eye on that. as Marchos seems to not be too aware of it. Genji's striping in, but Marchos, nah, let's bump myself out, no big deal.
Yeah, one thing that we didn't really talk about is the wave clear on both these sides. It does seem to be much more efficient on the side of the FemmeFerocity side, because we've seen them. They're pushing in on both sides, making it very hard for Macrotrash to get in, as the Genji does get silenced. Ooh, and that's essentially what we need to see from Macrotrash, is that they need to be able to get these kills while that silence is there. If they aren't able to get them, we saw in the previous game the Tracer was able to just blink, 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 and get herself out of danger. But if they're able to get them in that silence, there's nowhere to go, and they will die very quickly. But if you don't get them, then they are going to be able to get out of there.
Yeah, Genji a little bit, he gets more distance out of just his one move. So Tracer maybe has a little fraction of a second where she's slightly more
She's also very squishy herself.
Yeah, a little bit squishier than Genji, had no protect. So it should be interesting. We do have another skirmish going on top. Paradex is taking a lot of damage, so it's looking like it's gonna sort of fall into a bit of a 2v2. You know, there's some rotational movement coming out of the two teams, and a very early taking of this bruiser camp by Macrotrash. But now FemmeFerocity are playing,
yeah, both sides wanting to get it just in time for this Immortal to be spawning, and yeah, as you mentioned, it is starting to become a bit of a 2v2 on this top side of the map, with the Genji heading up there, and then Heiji on the Valera just going up there to try and respond to it. As we do have, I do like this delayed take of this point, but Paradox is going to get pushed off the point, but they are going to try and get there. But Martos has probably stepped forward a little bit too far, got a little bit greedy for this one.
Oh, way too greedy. The ability for FemmeFerocity to punish there is just, you know, it's too easy. You're on the other side, you're behind the wall. You can't get that initial push off point. You need to get out of there.
Steph almost goes down, does have the deflector, keep himself alive just that little bit longer, but is going to be very, very unhealthy. Does have the tap to keep her back in this fight, but look at the Immortal health very much in favor of FemmeFerocity. They are going to be able to start this race, and it looks like Macrotrash are going to try and put up a bit of a defense.
Yeah, Paradex is a bit far forward. Adibu taking a lot of damage. That's what I was talking about, the silence going on to Addy, and she's taking a lot of damage. Steph doing the reverse Swift Strike in, big stroll of ceiling going out on to three members of Macrotrash. So right now, FemmeFerocity way ahead on the Immortal damage, but Heiji trying to get the damage out on the Hanzo. The agility just barely giving him Adibu just deep into the backline. Heiji taking a lot of damage.
The Discord strike.
Discord strike, huge damage onto Tyrael. Tyrael gonna back out, so nobody falling, and just continuous poke onto the Immortal. This is exactly what the FemmeFerocity females are looking for, to, you know, just poke. Now Hanzo not realizing she can just walk in there and take it, but the first Immortal is going to be going over to FemmeFerocity here.
Yeah, they were just playing it very safe, just wanting to be sure that they weren't just going to be walking into a trap. Once they saw that the health on their own Immortal was starting to go down, they realized, okay, now we can just step forward and we can finish this off. It was pretty much at the situation where Macrotrash realized they're not going to win out in the long run. If they just stick there trying to defend for time after time, eventually those scatter arrows are going to just whittle away at that Immortal. They needed to get something done, and they just take down some of the shielding of it, so it's down to about half, and a little bit easier to defend against as the Decker gets locked away, but he is going to be able to get out of there in time and keep a lot of those heals going, as Steph takes a bit of damage on the retreat, but with everyone around, Leifu on the Decker is going to be able to get a lot of that healing out and be able to keep everyone nice and safe.
Yeah, Deckard is surprisingly sturdy for being a, you know, an old guy. He can take a lot of hits. Steph with a huge natural cyber agility, and rather dishing out some damage with the Swift Strike, trying to get some more damage onto the bottom for it. But they're just gonna, or actually top for it rather, but they're just going to back out and take what value they got there. This is something that I noticed in the last game, and I'm really starting to think is a result of the most recent hotfix where they took a lot of the XP off the towers and are pouring it into the fort value. And you can see in the past where FemmeFerocity took those towers there, they might be a bit further ahead than they are now. But as it stands, they took both front walls and they're about half a level ahead.
Yeah, it is just it's not all that much at this point, but they are in a pretty good position. It is keeping things reasonably close, but if things just keep on going the way they are, I think eventually over time, FemmeFerocity will end up just getting a lot of those better advantages. We'll be able to start taking down some of those forts as Steph's stepping a little bit too far forward, got sucked into the lurking arm, but yeah, over time, I think this still does end up favoring FemmeFerocity. Paradox has to be a little bit careful on the bottom side because Hedgie is still there, just lurking and trying to get one of those picks onto an overextended Sonya, but this is just a bit of back and forward. We are going to just go back to kind of even standing as we are going to get this next immortal phase very soon.
Yeah, someone in chat did point out this is a sort of unusual Sonya build coming out here. We have the slam build to start, but then we have the roots removed by whirlwinding and also poison spear. So a little bit of everything, but Sonya can build like that. You don't build down one path focusing on one ability. You can just get some different talents to get value. Ooh, Hedgie deep on the Malrius.
Yeah, taking a lot of damage, but now Hedgie is probably going to be in a little bit of an awkward situation. Does manage to get out, but this is just allowing the rest of FemmeFerocity to just start wailing away at this model. Hedgie trying to come in from an angle, does get the silence onto him, but the healing from the Decade is able to keep him alive, and they do manage to get the kill onto the Valera. Really nice play coming out of FemmeFerocity.
I got the natural agilities coming out of Hanzo have been top notch. Paradex is getting a lot of damage on the Stu-Man-Chu, but Sep is separated, as is Stukov taking a lot of damage. The Discord Strike finishing off Genji, but also Cheerio falling, looking to get a little bit of counter value with the explosion, but a huge Discord Strike coming out of Sonya saying, absolutely not. You think you're gonna walk up and take this kill? No way. Stu-Man-Chu with some bold zoning onto Malrius, and but the FemmeFerocity is still way ahead. And what I didn't realize was that was a 10 versus not 10 engagement, and Alaric has yet to pick his heroic ability.
Yeah, just a little bit unfortunate. I think it was just with some of those kills, it ended up just tipping Macro Trash over the top into getting those heroics. They do have them now on the side of FemmeFerocity, so they will be able to defend their own immortal, and it is a rather easily defendable position. They are starting to work their way forward. With everyone here, they do have some good tools to work with. It is the sanctification. Once they step in onto the point where that Tyrell is going to be, they can just deal so much damage with freedom. But Hedgie coming in from the side does get the silence onto the Genji, but they will be able to just ignore a lot of that, put to sleep, but they do end up accidentally waking her up prematurely. And that's a lot of heroics used just to deal with an engagement from the Valera from the side.
Yeah, I believe the sanctification. Whoa, hold on. There's a big engagement going out. Valera getting a ton of damage onto Sonya, and now the members of Macrotrash trying to back up. Hedgie taking a lot of damage, but Genji also falling. So they're going to be moving up onto their immortal now. And wow, that went unbelievably quick. Not even sure what my point was before that. Just that they're being a little more tentative than in the previous game, but of course they're not running all over the enemy team. So
yeah, it seems as like it was a situation where the Valera came in and then it looked like FemmeFerocity just panicked, and then they threw down a sanctification, they threw down a stay a while and listen, just trying to get everything to take care of that Valera and keep everyone alive. But once those two massive tools were down, the rest of Macro Trash were able to just walk in and just blow that fight out of the water. And even though this immortal has gone over to the side of Macro Trash, the amount of PvE damage on the side of FemmeFerocity, they should be able to deal with it reasonably effectively, but they do get a nice silence onto the Tyrael, but that is the big charge coming in, and they don't actually get anything out of that, really.
And Mallory managed to jump over the wall as she was pushed in by Alarak, so a very near miss. Adiboo trying to create some space. Sanctification up in 5 seconds. Hedgie's on the back line. Hunter's taking a lot of damage. Stay a while and listen. Bolera is in the stealth. The big dragon arrow coming out. Johanna has been stunned and already used her Iron Skin. Liming trying to dish out a lot of damage, but Martos is gonna fall to the Dragon Blade. Adiboo and Steph now trying to be massively aggressive. This is one thing this team is going to do extremely well is chase you down. Hedgie now trying to get the counter damage onto Steph's Stu Manchu, and Spurbeck rotating in. This might be actually a decent fight. The pushback coming out onto Adiboo. Stu Manchu is gonna be
body blocking
in there.
It's going to be huge. They're trying to take care of Stu Manchu. Or the Genji gets picked off, as they are going to be able to end up just training 1-for-1. It's always a very tentative situation where you're trying to chase down all of these silences. You have the Valeria who can just turn it back around. You have this Alak who can just Discord strike in a straight line, and all of a sudden everyone who's trying to chase after you is silenced. They take a boatload of damage, and there's also that lurking arm, which makes it very hard to push into. So yeah, they do want to chase, but they have to be very careful with how they do it, because walking into those silences is just a death sentence, especially for things like a Genji.
We immortals shall return.
Yeah, and we saw it before with the Alarak was at about 20% and Sonya was full health, and Sonya was just like, hey, I'm gonna spear you and kill you, and Alarak was like, hey, how about no, and you're dead. So this is we talked about slow macro games, and then we talked about volatile games. This is the definition of volatile game. Wow, is that actually a deadly charge coming in from Alarak?
Yeah, he used it before, tried to get that exact same play, doesn't get it yet again. This did go down onto Steph, but had just managed to get this wrist strike out just in time, so he's going to be able to keep himself alive. But the rest of Macro Trash, they want to play a very sneaky game, and it looks like FemmeFerocity are very aware that something is happening, but Adiboo is in a very awkward situation at this point. Oh, the Son is stepping too far forward. They do get locked down, and a lot of damage. The silences are just a little bit too good, and that is going to be 2 down immediately on the side of FemmeFerocity. But they want to keep this fight going.
Yeah, huge Dragon's Arrow coming out, stunning 5 people, not going to be able to get any value, but the consecutive silences are just brutal. Wow, deadly charge coming out. Alarak trying to get the distance onto Malrias, but she is the agility, the value that Genji and Hanzo are getting out of natural and cyber agility in this game are nuts. They're getting out of situations they should never escape from. But that being said, like the Discord strike into just a follow up lurking out is so bad. Hedgie a bit far forward. Steph gonna look to punish the Blouse abilities, trying to zone out Steph. Hedgie's super low. Steph also super low. Steph falling. Hedgie falling. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade as Adiboo tries to back herself out as well into safety, but now getting aggressive. Spurbeck is a bit out of position. Holy Ground zoning into the stay a while and listen in order to secure the kill. Wow, is that a Dragon's Arrow coming from across the map?
No, they just walked straight into the stay here and listen. They wanted to try and help out the Stukov, but they just walked straight into a man telling him a story, and all of a sudden they just fell asleep. And this is going to give the opportunity over to FemmeFerocity to just clean up this Immortal. The amount of damage coming out of this Hanzo onto that neutral objective is just so much, and they just have to put up a defense on Macro Trash. They almost get the Tyrael, but it's just not enough. And this is going to be a rather, it's very similar health Immortal going over as the first one. And Stu Manchu is also going to go down, so a really massive swing coming out for FemmeFerocity.
FemmeFerocity, like, they've been, like, level-wise behind this entire game, and even kills, but I felt like they're in control the whole time. They're absolutely controlling this objective in an unbelievable way. They're making Valera second guess every situation. Is that to say that Macro Trash is out of this game? Absolutely not. This is like edge of the knife type play. Hedgie looking to make that play. The Sonic Arrow trying to scout Hedgie. Hedgie just looking maybe for Paradexis or Lakifu on the backside. But Adiboo is just bringing it on Tyrael. And just other than the one Sanctification misplay, which I think was honestly just a preemptive sort of attempt at predicting a fight, no mistakes. Adiboo's been top notch. There's going to be an engagement here.
Yeah, they want to try and get something to happen behind this Immortal. They do go in. The Deadly Charge does hit one. The Genji is taking a lot of damage. Oh, the sleep does not get procced, does get interrupted. Sanctification allowing them so much freedom. They are trying to get Frank Jackson. Zerliming is going to be the first to go down. Steph trying to get out. It does end up dying, but does manage to get a good slash right at the very end. Here comes the sleep, and that's two going to be in a very awkward situation. The Immortal does take down that keep, and that silence is not going to do a hell of a lot at this point when there's literally no follow-up.
I mean, just extremely well played. Steph, like on the edge of a knife, just stand there, almost dead. She gets the one last slash, then she gets the swift strike and dies. Like, just epic plays coming out of Steph there. I mean, these women are absolutely bringing the heat to this Battlefield Eternity game. And we're 17 minutes in. There's one keep down, but I mean, as far as Battlefield games go, this is a hell of a zinger.
Yeah, getting to a fourth Immortal is, you don't usually get that far in this game. Sometimes it can just end very, very quickly. But yeah, this has been a rather back and forward kind of game. The first one went over to FemmeFerocity. The second Immortal went over to Macro Trash. But they haven't really been able to get a hell of a lot out of it. They did manage to take down that fort on the bottom side, but because of how efficient they're able to deal with a lot of the neutral objectives with this Hanzo, they're able to just stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, and it feels like the Hanzo Genji show. I mean, it really does. Hanzo just getting crazy value on the Immortals. Steph just managing to control the fights. But there's a huge mega flank coming out of Macro right now.
Never mind, they see it.
Scatting it out. Sumanchu trying to get into the backline. But
perfect hologram.
Sumanchu taking a ton of damage. Yeah, that hologram was insane. Sanctification so good. Stay alive.
Oh, this sleep up to Valera.
Oh wow, it did get Valera. Hedgie's now in the back line, but Material's gonna fall, but it looks like there's gonna be the counter kill onto Johanna, so these are now two tankless comps. The reset's coming out, and Steph just slash, taking down Valera. That is gonna be a 2-for-1 trade, and with the Immortals spawning and Hanzo up, I mean, FemmeFerocity is gonna say, fine, yeah, we'll race all day on this. Thanks for the Immortal, by the way.
Yeah, I have to really commend that hologram coming out of Adibu, just completely locking out the Johanna. It required the deadly charge just for the Alarak to have any kind of say in that fight. And everyone else was not able to get there. The Valera sure was on the back line, but we were not able to get anything out of it. And especially when the Stay While and Listen just tags Valera right at the very corner. It's very rough, and here comes a deadly charge again from Hanzo. He's setting up, doesn't get the nice lockdown, and Hanzo just gets evaporated.
That was sick. The boss stun, the deadly charge, the Stukov silence, all in absolute perfect harmony. I mean, what can you do against such reckless hate? Martos now the counter kill though. Macrotrash getting caught off a little bit, and Genji getting a ton of damage, but now the sound's coming out on the step.
Oh, that is...
She slashes into the boss stun.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate, but this is delaying a lot of the take on that Immortal, and they are doing a decent amount of work. They have only 3 members left, but they are able to stay around for quite a while. Edibu and Paradox is trying to do so much work, but the silence of that lurking arm is doing a decent amount of work. They do manage to take down the Tyraels, just keep on trading back and forth. Leifu is trying to stay alive for as long as possible. Great Poison Spear does take down the Li Ming, and in the end, it's a 3-for-3.
That was a 3v4.
But the Hanzo is back now.
That was a 3v4. That was
the Hanzo got deleted.
FemmeFerocity just won a 3v4 like handily.
And that was even on the opponent Immortal, which is always a very dangerous prospect to try and go into. And Marius on this Hanzo is back, and look at the health on that blue Immortal. That is so much, and that could very well... it's a very risky situation trying to hold on to a base with that, with such a sturdy Immortal pushing into you.
Yeah, and here's something we didn't cover as well. The wave clear is very little to non-existent on the side of Macro Trash, and the top lane was just pushing into the core, not doing any damage, but definitely threatening. So this full health Immortal is going to be threatening.
Great silence.
Wow, just barely getting saved. Hedgie going to be punished. Oh, March is trying to dip on the backside, and Malrius just dodging the push and the Discord strike. Did you just see Malrius just literally like look right at Alarak and go like, you know, not today. So I'll
Yeah.
just walk away from that.
Marius on this Hanzo is like, Genji, you think you're the ninja? Watch this.
Yeah.
He just gets out of literally everything, is able to keep the damage coming in, or keep the utility coming in. Steph taking a lot of damage, but with 2 members down, and with this very heavy immortal coming through, Steph dashes in, gets one, dashes right out of there. And with this healthy of an immortal, this could very well just be the game.
Yeah, with 3 members down, Sukov down for another 50 seconds, I believe FemmeFerocity should be able, short of Unrivaled Disaster or Malrius, possibly getting blown up on this backline, very low HP. This is gonna probably be game as long as there's no major misplay.
Yeah, they have to play it very cautiously. They don't have level 20 on the side of Macro Trash, and if you're taking a decent amount of damage, but it's getting turned back onto the Li Ming thanks to Steph. And look at how healthy this immortal is still. They are going to go all in. They need an all or nothing play. The Sans does go down onto the Deku, but he's able to keep himself alive, and he is going to be able to pump out all of that healing. And everyone's just able to stick around in these fights as Steph is just dashing left, right, and center. They're able to get the sleep. The sanctification is going to get popped, and that is going to completely nullify that disintegration. Frank Jukes is trying to help out from the sideline, but is completely out of mana and completely out of health on that court.